Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. Today's video is going to be an episode about the very potential. I was gonna do a video about the cold. I think I'll do that later in the afternoon. There's just so much stuff going on that they deserve two different videos. So this video will be about the snow and the snow potential for the northeast, the north central US, and just a good portion of the eastern U.S. will be under some snow advisory or snow alert, like the Northeast and the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Missouri. So let's just jump right into this. Consider subscribing, consider liking the video. It really helps this channel grow, helps me know that you guys like what I do, and I really, really appreciate every single subscriber. So thank you so much. So right now, we're looking at the Canadian model, and these are the snowfall amounts through about Tuesday, November 12th. And let's go out a little bit further. Let's go back past that big first snowstorm that's going to occur. And this is where things get a little bit interesting. So notice there's the first wave, I guess, of the system is a cold front, and that's what it's going to be. It's a cold front that's, the Arctic blast is going to be coming from the north, coming from Canada, and there's going to be a cold front along this first wave. You could see dropping quite a bit of snow across Montana and Alberta, Canada, as well as British Columbia. So quite a bit of snow in the mountains, in the Rockies. It's still the same range of mountains, still the Rocky Mountains up in Canada. So they may have different names, like different sub-names, like, Cascades or the Adirondacks, for like the Northeast right here, but they're still all part of the Appalachians, so that's still all part of the Rockies. But notice how that's the first wave, some general 4 to, I would say 6 to 10 inches. Really, this is a little bit underestimated. 6 to 10 inches of snow across Montana and into portions of southern Canada. Then this kind of shrivels away and really doesn't really intensify. It kind of I'll show you on the map, actually, just to make this things easier. So let's start at hour 60. This is where things, you can see here's that first wave, a pretty healthy dose of snow across North Dakota, South Dakota, some light to moderate snow. Though it dwindles, notice how it kind of disappears. Doesn't really show too much across Minnesota or Iowa. However, this is where a low pressure starts forming and gathers up moisture from the tropics, which it's November. It's still not too late for the tropical moisture in Gulf of Mexico to, be kind of aroused and put up to the north. So this really quickly gets brought up by this low pressure, and it starts intensifying. So notice we get a band of nice snow across Illinois, Iowa, northern Missouri, Kansas, and these models, especially this one, has been showing this for ever since Wednesday or Tuesday of this week. So it's been very consistent. This, by the way, would be occurring Sunday night into Monday across the Midwest, and into Tuesday, and Monday night into Tuesday, really across the Northeast. But the other thing for the coastal areas of Chicago, Wisconsin, there will be lake effect with this, and you notice how there's a big high pressure right here across. Let's see if I could draw this across Canada right here. High pressure, and this is bringing things down pretty. They're dropping. They're definitely dropping, and you can see that it's centered right there. However, winds around a high pressure always spins clockwise, so you can see that this will be bringing quite a big area of winds into the U.S., and this sends the winds off the lake into the Chicago area, and this could really bring the first enhanced snowfall of the year across Chicago, and that could really bring snowfall accumulations up to 4 to 5, 6 inches of snow, and especially across southern Wisconsin, Illinois, and into northern Indiana. So that's interesting. But in speaking of the rest, about the rest of the storm, it's there. See it's forming a nice band across the Midwest, and it really starts intensifying. This low pressure kind of moves up into the Northeast. There's some rain to the south, but this snow, this takes a positive tilt. You can see how it would slope. This is a positive line, and this is on the edge of this trough, which is, you can see right there, and this starts slanting up to into a positive axis, which basically initially speeds this system up and doesn't allow it to take its time really, but it definitely, the snowfall rates are going to be pretty intense. We have a warm air blowing from the south. You can see some pretty nice warm air and a big Arctic blast of air, which will be bringing some cool air, and that contrast will bring some lift in the atmosphere, which could actually even intensify the snowfall rates even more across New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Vermont, New Hampshire. So those locations may see some pretty heavy snow across the U.S. What am I saying? Across Tuesday and Monday. Sometimes I get a little bit carried away, but notice how this it really does intensify, not into a giant system, but you can see bring some possible snow into Georgia, Alabama. So some snow showers across those locations is not ruled out. Notice all of this mess up here. That is just lake effect going ham right there across Michigan and UP of Michigan into someone just subscribed to me. Thank you. Thank you so much. You can see in northern Indiana, Michigan, and the UP of Michigan will be seeing quite a bit of snow with this lake effect even after the initial system, but then this gets carried away. Notice it really intensifies, but it's already off the coast, and the snowfall amounts are going to be pretty intense for the northeast. Not going to be insane, nothing unheard of, but they're definitely going to be formidable if this continues to show what the models are showing. So the potential is growing for this snow system. I wouldn't say that it's 100% guaranteed to form. Notice that this Canadian model shows a clip around the Wednesday-Thursday time frame for the north central US, which would be interesting to see. The GFS, however, you could see, I'll show you, is not on the same page with the Canadian, and it hasn't been. It's been consistently showing not what the Canadian is showing. The Canadian has been consistently showing what it wants to show, which is a snowy scenario. And then the European model, which I'll show you in just a minute, is showing the similar thing to what the Canadian is showing. So there, it's kind of tough to say. Usually, again, the GFS is worse with snow systems. However, when it's this far out, which is not that far out, it's 1 to 2 days, and there's kind of a discrepancy of pretty big magnitude. I mean, it's not like if it's not completely showing. You can see the GFS also shows that initial push, that cold front, but it does not really form that snow across the mid-U.S., Illinois, Iowa, and into Nebraska. You can see that it does form it across the Northeast, still not to the extent of the Canadian, but it definitely shows still some snow, which is, at least a good sign that they're somewhat agreeing. And then it shows that clipper as well right here across Thursday. So there is agreement definitely, but the extent of the agreement is not too great. I want to show you the snowfall amounts for the GFS. This is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio. You could see, I'll show you the Kuchera snowfall amounts in just a minute, but this is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio. Notice some nice accumulations across New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Vermont, and into Maine. So you can see that's a little bit less than the Canadian, as I was showing you at the beginning of the video. You can see a little bit more impressive for the Canadian amounts, and then a little bit more impressive again across the Midwest here, especially with that lake enhancement and with that secondary clipper. Quite a bit of snow, or some decent snowfall amounts will be occurring according to the Canadian, which I think I'm a little bit in more agreement with the Canadian than the GFS. So notice how across the this is the Kuchera snowfall amounts. Now for the GFS, it increases the snowfall amounts with the proper snowfall ratio according to the temperatures. This takes in the temperature profiles and gives a more better estimate. Notice across the Midwest, a little bit more snow with the Kuchera ratio, so this is more realistic. Widespread 2 to 4 inches still possible with that lake effect, and possibly up to 11. But then notice across the Northeast, it increases it across in New York State up to 10, 9, 8 inches. But then into Vermont, New Hampshire area, you can see it gets into 20s, and the hot spot will be northern Maine at around 15, 16, maybe a 1.5 feet of snow. Now let's go to the Canadian model, which was again the more aggressive one. So that is the where is that? Is that the why am I GDPES? Okay, this one calls it a little bit different, but that's what it is. Okay, so notice how this one increases the snowfall amounts a little bit more. You could see across these locations 6, 7 inches, up to 10 possibly right there. So that'll be actually interesting to see if this if the Canadian is more accurate with the Kuchera. You could see possibly up to indicating up to 10 inches, which I think is a little bit overdone, but nevertheless we need to calculate it. And you can see with that lake effect, this is offshore, but parts of Traverse City, that area, may see up to 20-30 inches of snow, which may seem ridiculously overdone, but I want to remind you again, guys, that with the with lake effect, that's definitely possible, especially early on in the season. Almost no ice cover. No ice cover, really. Maybe in some isolated locations, a square foot or two, but really, 30 inches is not, out of the realms of possibility. And then notice into the northeast, the snowfall amounts really pick up 12, 11, 17 possibly, and then it gets a little bit ridiculous into the 20s, which we'll have to see if that occurs. But again, I think this is a little bit more realistic in terms of the layout. I don't know about the snowfall amounts. I would, maybe divide that by a half if you live anywhere in your location, because I don't think it'll be 10, 11 inches for Chicago. I think it'll be something more like 2 to 3 to 4. But if we look right now at the European, which I want to remind you guys, there is a European high resolution model on the Pivotal Weather, which is just ridiculously awesome. I mean, holy cow, it's amazing. I mean, honestly, it's something that we if you want, you could go support on Patreon. I definitely will be. This is definitely something that is amazing, and it's for free. So notice the European with the, I don't know if it has this Kuchera snowfall amount. It doesn't. This is just a regular total accumulated snowfall. But you can see it shows around 3 to 4 inches across the Chicago area, which I think is a little bit more realistic. A little bit, higher amounts, 10, 8, 11 inches, which I think is possible across these locations in Michigan. And then possibly across the northeast, the European takes a little bit further to the north than what the other models do, but it shows a hefty 11, 10 inches of snow. And notice that with the European model, now on weathermodels.com, also another great website. However, the European here costs a little bit of money, not much, few dimes. But notice how really it increases the snowfall amounts to about 5 to 6 inches across northern Illinois, which I think the European does a fairly good job with the snowfall amounts across the locations in the Midwest. But across the Northeast, it takes a little bit further to the north, which I am not sure if that's going to exactly happen. It's assuming that the cold air will be a little bit slower to arrive. It may be a little bit quicker. We'll have to see. But then you can see the snowfall amounts would be, drastic, variance. I mean, you can see the contrast of basically 4 to 20 inches across upstate New York. But I think this could go a little bit further to the south, and a widespread 10 to 15 inches would fall across the Northeast. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. I maybe will do one more update video on the snow. If you want me to, consider leaving a comment. If you're watching at this point of the video, you are freaking amazing. You are a super fan. You're a gem. So thank you so much. And just, if you're watching at this point, comment down below European model. Just comment that down, and I will know you watched at the end till the end of the video. Thank you so much.